All right. So when I first started my social media marketing agency, every time I was on a sales call and we get to the end of the sales call and it's finally time. Okay, what's the price? Every single time that I pitched my price and a prospect heard my price, they would tell me the same thing every single time. It's too expensive or I need to think about it. Those are the main two that I really heard, or some BS excuse, but regarding the price or that they just weren't ready at this time. And this wasn't like I took 5, 10 sales calls and I heard this and I said, oh my God, I'm going to go run on the internet and make this video. I took over 100 sales calls with this pricing structure and with the offer I had. And I heard the exact same thing every single time. Okay. And this was back when I was pitching 2K per month. I heard this over and over again. I ended up thinking, okay, it actually might be the price. Maybe what I'm pitching is too expensive, right? Lowered it down to 1,500, kept lowering it down lower and lower, all the way down to $350 per month. And when I still heard the exact same thing. So it's not price, right? Something we need to understand if we want to make a lot of money is exactly what money is. Okay. Money is the stored time and energy of other people. So when trying to create an offer, we want to focus on giving people something that not only saves them time and energy, but also increases the financial models of their business. To put this very simply, money is a simple representation of value. Money itself is not valuable. And you may be saying, what are you talking about? Money isn't valuable. Well, I want you to think if we didn't have people, places, things, objects on this earth, let's say it was just, it's just a blank canvas, no buildings in the world. There's nothing, right? Just pure land. And even then, land is valuable, right? Money is, let me not get on a tangent. But if we didn't have actual objects and things to assign money to, money would not be worth anything. Money is the same thing as this piece of paper right here. That's all it is. It's a piece of paper. So would you think this is valuable if you didn't have anything to assign it value to? No, you wouldn't, right? So if we're making $0 per month, that simply means we aren't providing any value. Obviously, in order to make some money, we need to provide value, right? So when providing value for a business, there are four elements in private equity. This is where I got these four buckets, right? They're called the four buckets of value creation. I'm a big fan of Ray Dalio, so I call these the four principles of value creation. But basically, these are the four things that we can help someone with or a business with that will generate the most value for their company. These four things are going to be sales and marketing, service delivery and retention, unique selling proposition. This is their offer, the way they're communicating their value to the market, how they're presenting themselves to the market, and then people and talent. This is actually sourcing talent, training talent, and placing talent into someone's company. Understanding how to actually create offers and utilizing these four buckets, four principles of value creation is what changed the game for me and my business. I implemented this and the rest was history. So 2 weeks after installing this, hit my first ever $6,500 month. 1 month later, hit my first ever $20,000 month. Fast forward 4 months later, and we occasionally do six-figure months and $30,000 per week and $15,000 in a single day before. So what normally happens, right? We have an initial situation. We have a dream outcome. What normally happens is people are selling or the gap. They define it as just selling someone paid ads, which is a single service, or they combine in batch services such as like paid ads and email stuff like email marketing or some back-end automations and sequences. So as we can see, this right here, it isn't enough, right? If someone were to come to you and say, unless you're actively, it's going to be really hard to find people that are actively interested in this, because let's say the only time this would work is if I'm a business owner. Let's put ourselves in the position of the business owner. I'm a business owner. Well, the only time this is going to work is if they come to you and say, hey, I want this, I need this. I'll just buy it from you because I know I need it right now. But what we do as business owners, since we own our own business, we're always actively looking to get more and more clients. So that means we're pitching this offer to a cold audience. Now, I want you to think, if you're a cold audience and some stranger came up to you and said, hey, paid ads, email stuff, 2K per month, right? What are you actually like? Are you serious? Like, that's not going to work. So what's supposed to happen is you have your cold prospect here, the future potential client you want to work with. They're right here at the beginning of the initial stage of the bridge. You're trying to get them to become a happy client, and how you do that is through your mechanism, right? So without all of this, there's just this client here, and the bridge is empty. They're trying to cross this bridge and become a happy client. Our mechanism, our service is what bridges the gap and gets them to the other side of the bridge and allows them to become a happy client. If we look at how Alex Hormozy did this, the same thing that he did that allowed him to build, scale, and exit for $46.2 million, he defined his avatar were gym owners. He defined their initial situation as a level 1 gym. He defined their dream outcome as being a level 3 plus gym. And so the problems he identified, the bridge that he built that allowed these gym owners to safely travel across the bridge was number one, understanding levels of a gym. Number two, solving client acquisition. Installing client acquisition systems. Number three, solving churn. Number four, building the infrastructure to scale. Next, installing talent acquisition systems. And then lastly, understanding macro business models. So if we can understand, what we need to do is define an initial situation, define a dream outcome, and solve and account for every single gap that is in between the initial situation and the dream outcome. Now, what the leverage consultant offer does, besides giving you a unique mechanism for your market, is it decommoditizes your offer and presents your business as the full solution from where the prospect is and where they want to go. Now, let's think about, if we're pitching these two things, in what world is this a full solution? This is the easiest way to be commoditized and just find yourself just like I was. Like, keep on lowering your prices because everyone says it's too expensive, right? But that's not true, because now I pitch 4 or 5K plus upfront, and there's no world where someone says too expensive, unless it's just genuinely a bad, low quality broke client, right? But I get PIFs all the time, 5K PIF all the time, right? And it's not too expensive for those people. It's just about value, right? So this signals, when you actually solve the full gap, it signals that you're different than the market and interrupts the typical pattern that these cold prospects, the leads that we speak to, actually have in their head. And ultimately, this gets them away from thinking, who is this guy? Looks the same as every cold email that I've seen, same pitch deck presentation that I've seen, looks the exact same as every single agency I've spoken with. Who is this guy and what is he trying to sell me? But when you develop a full solution like this, it becomes much, much easier to develop something called a USP, which is a unique selling proposition in your offer. And so this is just the unique reason your service offer or your company gives someone to buy from you rather than anyone else, right? A USP can be the difference between you making life-changing money and you literally falling flat on your face. It's the same reason why I lost $52,900 in a 2-week time period. Go check that video. It's on this channel. But it's also the same reason why I occasionally make 5,000 plus days. Made 11,000 last Sunday and make $30,000 per week, right? And it's also the same reason why Esteban closed a $3,000 deal. He's only 16 years old. It's the same reason why Milos made $4,000 in a single weekend. And it's the same reason why Ro made $5,000 in a single day from just one client. So what we need to understand is that the goal of our delivery model is to deliver the dream outcome for our clients, not only as fast as possible, but as easy as possible. And now, in order for us to actually accomplish this, our solution must be not only as simple as possible, but as leveraged as possible. Now, that brings us to our next point, which is applying leverage, the application of leverage. We apply leverage because life is too short. Without leverage, you just should stay working your job. And this is no disrespect, because understand that at your job, you are simply trading your time for money. It's a one-to-one input to output ratio correlation, right? In order to succeed, our inputs can't be correlated to our output. You need leverage as a business owner. This is how you escape the transaction of trading your time for money. And if we understand how life works, we'll never get anywhere getting these one-to-one input to output ratios. We need to put something in and get 10, 20 out. So leverage is when you get a bigger, more outsized return compared to the input that you actually did for that return. In business, you want to focus on the most leveraged task in your business. If you know Naval Ravikant, famous for his quote, "Fortunes require leverage." If you haven't read his book, amazing book. Honestly, last year when I read it, it was like one of the best books I've read all 2023. So how do we do this? You design a high leverage situation solution by understanding the desired goal of your ideal clients. There will typically be multiple problems standing in the way, preventing them of achieving their desired situation. And then you build the mechanisms to solve each of those problems and present it to the client as the full entire solution, right? As we just went over. For me, for example, I work with agency owners. I take an active role scaling their company. I like to come in, I take an active role in these agencies, and I ask for a percentage in return. The gaps that I solve is usually I find an agency owner in their initial situation, not making much money, no systems in place, no infrastructure built. And in order for us to have the output of a 7-figure agency, the problems I solve is applying a leveraged offer. I install the acquisition channels of cold, organic, and paid acquisition systems, lead magnets, content assets, and conversion mechanisms. Now, do note that you want to have a healthy balance between done with you, done for you, and do it yourself. This is basically the way you go about fulfilling your for these clients, right? Done with you means you hold your client's hand as you walk with them to the desired destination. Done for you means you do it completely for the client, and done do it yourself means you give the client the resources that they need to achieve it on their own. Now, this allows you to achieve maximum leverage in in your solution while still not sacrificing actual client satisfaction and how happy the client is with the results that they achieve. So this led me to understand that the most leveraged solution was in creating a leverage consultant offer. Now, what is that? Leverage consulting is about solving the full gap for your client and then combining coaching and agency elements into your offer. This makes it easier for the prospects to say yes, allows you to charge higher ticket and get better results. In the simplest form, the coaching model is just the exchange of information for money. And you can deliver this information in many forms. For example, protocols, SOPs stands for standard operating procedures, content, and frameworks. In the simplest form, the agency model is just the exchange of actual services for money. Now, this is where you actually implement systems and infrastructure in a done for you manner based on the needs of the client. So a few examples would be growth campaign installation, paid ads, appointment setter, content distribution systems, etc. So the leverage consultant offer framework gives us a more leveraged mechanism, thus allowing us to achieve scale much, much faster. After all of this, what we're going to then ask ourselves is we're going to figure out who can fulfill on these mechanisms. Now, since we're solving for more, accounting for more gaps in our client's ideal situation scenario, we're going to be able to charge more money, right? We're solving for more problems and we're presenting it as the full solution. We're going to be able to charge a lot more capital up front. So with that capital, we're going to be able to find great key players and great talent to fulfill on our solution. So what we're going to ask ourselves is who knows the best offers, who generates the best appointments, who can close deals the best, who knows how to deliver fast and efficient client results, and who has a big network with tons of resources that not only me, but my clients can also leverage. And then we go find those people. So that brings me to our next topic and why I think most agency owners tend to fail. Talent acquisition funnels and hiring. Similar to how we have a client acquisition funnel, we need a talent acquisition funnel and a process for hiring. It is not our job to do every single thing in our business. We created a business for a reason, right? And if you think about the word business owner, it's in the name to own the business owner. It's our job to own the business and work on it from the outside, right? So we need a talent acquisition funnel, and it's very similar to our client acquisition funnel. It starts in the beginning with application generation, right? Then we nurture these applicants, interview them. Then we have a process for onboarding these new applicants and training them, and then a new process for being able to retain this A-player talent we got and ascend them further into our company. Now, where do we find these A players? The same way you do outbound prospecting to get a client is the same way you find A player talent, right? You combine volume with the right acquisition channels and you're going to find A player talent. So let's talk about what you do want to do and what you don't want to do. What you do want to do is utilize Facebook groups. Paid ones and the private ones are the absolute best. Leverage your audience, leverage your connections and network, leverage the network of other agency owners and coaches, review and interview a ridiculous amount of applicants. Volume is going to be your best friend in this situation. What you don't want to do is look for A players, right? A player on a website like Upwork and Fiverr. And what you don't want to do is interview a small handful of applicants and make your decision based on those small applicants. It's not going to allow you to see enough people and understand enough what the talent pool, or understand what different varieties of a typical person in the role that you're hiring for actually looks like, right? You could interview if you interview 5 people, the first 5 could be absolutely terrible. They could be the best prospects they could be top 1% for that role in the world. However, you actually would never know, right? Because you only interviewed 5. Why are you you don't have enough people to make a correct judgment off. So let's talk about attracting these applicants. You're going to want to have something called the dream. Now, this is basically, what is this job? Why does it exist? And what is the bigger goal that we are trying to achieve with this job? It is very important to actually have a bigger goal and a purpose that you and your team are striving towards, because you as a leader must be fully committed to this purpose. If you by yourself aren't committed to this dream or this purpose, and you're doing it just because Toussaint Gilbert on the internet said, hey, come up with a purpose, a reason for your business to exist, then there's no way in the world that you're going to have the conviction to make others committed. And if you think about this, this is what actually attracts A player talent, because A player talent, they know they're not motivated by money, right? These A players are motivated by something bigger. Then you have the job. This is where you define what must be done by this person in order for them to be considered successful by you and the company standards, right? You then need to list all the outcomes you want them to accomplish for you, anywhere from 5 to 10, rank them in order of importance from greatest to least important, and ask yourself, what things would this person need to achieve that would make it literally impossible for them to be considered a failure or fail at this role. Then you have culture. What is your company culture like? What behaviors are you looking to see in a typical employee for this role? And how do you expect them to act and operate inside of this role? Then lastly, you have non-negotiables. What is absolutely mandatory that you need from a person fulfilling this role? And what is completely off limits that you will not tolerate by anyone that comes into your company, right? Then you have the application process. So basically, you want to structure your application process like this. You'll have some survey questions related to the role, then ask the candidate to send a 2 to 3 minute loom sharing their story and actually qualifying themselves on why they should be considered for this role. Wait a few days, maybe even a week, until you receive a large sum of applications. View all of them at once. Be extremely picky on who you actually qualify and allow to get on an interview and meeting with you. From there, get on a meeting with the people that you qualified. Do at least 50, 75, I would really say anywhere from 50 to 100 meetings per role, and choose the best people from all these meetings. All right, that's all we got for this video. Goodbye.